And if you could call the roll, please.
Mrs. McIntosh? Here. Mr. Bentry? Mr. Ellison?
Here.
Mr. Beazle?
Here.
Mr. Blau?
Here.
Mr. Strange?
Here. Right. Let's do the flag, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We're the part of Visitors and Communications, and I'm excited tonight because we have some awards to hand out. So, Kathy Sonnet, where's Kathy? Please stand up, Kathy, and step forward so folks can see you. Maybe turn to face the camera so people can see you. All right, wave to the folks at home on YouTube. Kathy joined the Renaissance Board in 2016. Her leadership and love for the community assisted in creating a vibrant downtown. She spent countless hours volunteering, planning, and participating in many of our community events, including Merchants of Music. Most notably, Kathy was instrumental in the Veterans Program. She designed and managed all the Veterans banners since the inception. With a passion and expertise for design, Kathy helped facilitate the rebrand of our city. Kathy has contributed so much to what you see and experience in our city, and we are deeply grateful for her work and her effort. Thank you, Kathy, and I have a little plaque for you if you can come forward. Seriously, thank you so much for your work. Appreciate it.
Yeah, get the shot, get the shot.
We're graduating.
It does look like graduation.
I have to tell you all, we are so blessed in this city with so many wonderful residents and so many people who volunteer their time for the city. And it's just so appreciated. It really is. And the next person, Lori Wendling, if you would please stand and say hi to the camera. Lori has been part of a number of the volunteer boards at the City of Fort Thomas for a number of years. She began with the Planning Commission in the late 90s, assuring responsible development. Continued with the Tree Commission in the mid-2000s with her passion for the right tree in the right place, which I love that concept, and concluded her service with the Design Review Board for the last 11 years, providing insight to create a crisp and classy downtown. When polling staff and board members, Lori is described as being prepared for the meetings and providing valuable and unique perspectives. Lori is detail-oriented, consistent, and precise among many other qualities, and we can only hope to fill her shoes. Lori is also a part of the Garden Club, and although it is not officially a city board, it plays a vital role in beautification of the city through trees, plantings, and decor throughout the city. We greatly appreciate your years of public service and wish to thank you with a small token of a little plaque. Oh my gosh, seriously? Turn around and get a picture of that while I tell everybody about that. So Lori confessed that her first job with the city when she was only 28 years old was with the Board of Tax Supervisors. So she was the one who's reviewing all the taxes. A totally thankless job, which is why we didn't thank you for it. And the next volunteer, Barb Thomas. Barb, stand up. Excuse me. Barb has been a member of the Design Review Board for the past 11 years. She's been a valued member of the business community with multiple businesses over the years, including the current Grassroots and Vine, which recently celebrated 5 years in the Midway District. Congratulations. Barb has brought an eye for design to many elements you see through town, which is evident with Grassroots and Vine anchoring the north end of the Midway District. These items often go unnoticed, but many of these decisions have not only increased the desirability of our business district, but they have put a polished touch on these areas. Fort Thomas Business District is a better place with Barb Thomas in it. Thank you, Barb. I'm so grateful. I really am. Very grateful for everything you've done for the city. I appreciate it. And that turn and smile. Again, I am so grateful to everybody in the city who contributes and volunteers with the boards. You three ladies, thank you so much for what you've done for the city. And I know it's a small token of what but we are very grateful. And hope that you continue to stay involved with the city in many aspects. Thank you. Okay. Now I have a proclamation. Supposedly. You have a copy of the proclamation? Was it in your packet? Oh, goodness. I have to learn to wear an N95 mask when I use the blower. Because it drives my allergies crazy. Proclamation. Whereas Fort Thomas, Kentucky is a community which acknowledges that special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And whereas Fort Thomas, Kentucky is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas Fort Thomas, Kentucky is a community which chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals and organizations within its community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of their community. And whereas Fort Thomas, Kentucky acknowledges the mission of Extra Mile America to create 550 extra mile cities in America and is proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2023. That now, therefore, I, Eric Haas, Mayor of the City of Fort Thomas, Kentucky, who hereby proclaim November 1st, 2023 to be Extra Mile Day within the City of Fort Thomas, and I urge each individual in the community to take time on this day to not only go the extra mile in his or her own life, but to also acknowledge all those who are inspirational in their efforts and commitment to make their organizations, families, community, country, and world a better place. Given unto my hand this 18th day of September in the year of our Lord, 2023, signed Eric Haas, Mayor. And I think this is appropriate based on what we just did with these three wonderful volunteer ladies. So, all right, thank you. We are now to the point of allowing whoever signed in on the sheet. Who's first, Matt? Enter and sign in, please. What show is that? What's my line? Yes, thank you. I knew somebody would know what it is.
No, the old enough.
I can't, I'm sorry. Terrell?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I couldn't read the handwriting. I can't see.
I understand. Well, I haven't been here in a couple of months, maybe a couple times a year. Anyway, a few things got my attention that I think the city is spending too much money. Number one, there was a whole thing on Northern Kentucky Links about a month ago about $4 million for a playground up here at the fort. I understand that's a little farther down the list here, but $4 million is way too much money for a teeter-totter swing set. So I'd like to see it be a little thriftier on that, hoping not spending a lot of money. Because you're also thinking about racquetball and some other stuff, you know, Highland Park, whatever's going on out there. Second thing is the lot down Memorial Parkway. That property is just like a dumping area for Carlisle for the last 20 or 30 years. They give that to us, or we still thinking about that?
No, we own it now.
Okay,
Well, we in the city of Newport.
okay. I mean, what are we gonna do with it? Is this gonna be grass, or we gotta build something there?
We have some potential plans for it, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done yet. The state is working with us, the sanitation district. The state's engineers just came up with a plan to fix the drainage problem, so
Right.
that all has to be.
I'm glad you mentioned the drainage problem.
Right.
Because I hit some relatives down Waterworks Road, and they were big rocks, jumped rolling down the creek, and really messing it up. I hate to see us be responsible for that. And also, about 25 years ago, when they first started dumping that dirt, they paved in a bunch of the,
Yes.
culvert pipes. We had to close Memorial Parkway while they dug up the road to fix it, before they built those apartments down there. So I hate to see us get in some kind of a boondoggle down there over. Plus the right of way, getting it, a lot of people speed down there. And going around those corners, even on your street, it gets pretty tricky cutting in and out of there.
Yep.
Okay, and the third thing is, city recycling. The county has a recycling, like once a year out, way the hell out there. Nobody wants to go out there, they'll just dump the stuff down on Route 8. So I'd like to see us have, Covington, over at Holmes High School, had a recycling thing over there just for the city. TVs, paint, whatever. And then they just had one at Crescent Springs, which is way smaller than Fort Thomas, and they had a couple dumpsters for tires and paint, TVs, computers, all kinds of stuff. So I think maybe we could have like a recycling thing here, set up out in the back, maybe once or twice a year, where we could just.
Yeah, we can look into that.
I know you told me one time it cost money, but if we're gonna spend $4 million for a playground, we can at least spend $1,000 for a dumpster, you know, to do whatever.
No, we could definitely look into that. I know Campbell County sponsors the
Right.
few days that they have here. We can work with the county and do something here in the north part of the county,
Right.
whether here or Newport or someplace closer.
And I go to those, it's on Racetrack Road,
Right.
Henry Park, or the Licking River Boat Ramp, they're down there in Wild. So I'd like to see something a little closer.
Okay.
Okay, so besides
See what
that,
we can do.
keep up the good work and don't spend all our money.
Sounds good. Very good. All right, thank you. We're looking to see. Joe Cruzy.
Yes.
Sorry.
Council, Mayor, Joe Cruzy, I have 43.
Is that green? Is that marked on green?
Is it on?
Sorry, I didn't check that one yet.
Oh. There you go. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Council, Mayor, 43 River Road. I'm requesting, basically, speed limit signs. Usually they're on every road when you turn on them. Right across from my house is Army Reserve. It goes through the fort. And every road in the fort's 15 miles an hour. And I'm requesting with all the action and activities you have down on Army Reserve Road now with, you know, kids playing and sports. There's no signs. I'm just requesting maybe you put a sign when you come off River Road on Army Reserve Road, and maybe at the top.
Okay. Sounds
Is
good.
that fine?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right.
I just had surgery.
That's a flashback, thank you.
28th, I find out.
Yeah.
You bring me strong.
All right, buddy.
Thanks.
All right,
Thank
now
you.
with my glasses, I can see Sharon McKnight.
Hi, I'm Sharon McKnight, 62 Miller Lane. First of all, thank you, Matt, for having the two ordinances with the agenda. Appreciate it. We greatly appreciate it. It helps a lot. I don't understand it all, but thank you. Also, my family and I would like take the time to thank Andy Ellison for bringing up the consideration of not taking the 4% property tax increase due to the economic state of our economy, and by pulling the difference out of our reserve fund instead. I also want to thank all the council members for agreeing to revisit this subject. And I'm here to ask, did you guys set a date to schedule to revisit this discussion?
That is on tonight's agenda.
Oh, okay, so do we get to talk after that or before that? I mean,
Right now.
that, right, okay, there we go. Alrighty. Okay, last meeting, Andy stated our loan debt is $10 million and we have a repayment every year of $700,000. And we have a debt service reserve fund of $9 million and a reserve fund of $6 million. So my question is, why do we have a $10 million debt? if we have that much in reserve?
A couple years ago, when they consolidated for the remodel here, they consolidated all the loans that they had for the parks, all the park, Rossford Park and the shelters that were done previously. And they reconsolidated just because of the rates were really low. And, you know, the council at the time decided it was best just to borrow the money and keep our reserve the way it is.
We've done
Okay.
that several times over the years that I've been involved. Depends on what project we're doing and what the rates are. And like when we did the first big push with the parks and like the playground and Tower Park that we're redoing, that was what, 25 years ago or something? That was a time when the economy was bad. The engineering firms, the contractors firm, they were all looking for work. The interest rates were extremely low, and we were able to get the work very cheap and borrow the money at a very low rate. And at that time, we were making more money on the reserves than we
Gotcha.
were paying on the interest. So it's just a financial decision based on what the rates are at the particular time.
Gotcha, so you were making more on the interest of being in the savings, is that what you're saying?
Yes, at that
Versus-
time. I don't know if that's the case right now, but at the time we made the decision to roll all this debt into one package, the rates were still low. Now, they've gone up fairly dramatically here just recently.
But if you're locked in, it doesn't
We are locked
affect you. So, but, does it make sense now though, since you do have such a substantial reserve to pay that off and save money on the interest or not?
So can I talk for a second?
Oh,
about
yes, please do.
Reserve versus fund balance, that
Okay.
$17 million amount that sits at the bottom of that is actually fund balance. It's not necessarily reserve, so to speak. The invested reserve of the city of Fort Thomas is approximately $9.9 million.
Okay,
Paying off our current debt would exhaust that entire
gotcha.
invested reserve. So currently, plus additionally, our average rate of return, I think our interest rate is somewhere in the 2-3% range on all of that debt. Our average rate of return on investments right now has actually risen to the point where we're actually making a little bit more than that interest rate. So currently, it really does make some sense to keep it, especially
Okay.
with the knowledge of, you know, with a park coming up, we actually have a rather expensive replacement fire truck being constructed as we speak. So having a little bit around to cover those eventualities does make some sense.
Yeah, so, okay, so that, I thank you for explaining that, because, you know, I'm kind of person be debt free. Okay, so, let me go on to the next one here. Okay, also, Joe Ewald stated that this 4% increase means the average homeowner. What does that mean to the average homeowner? And you said, if I heard it correct, $40.
Correct.
For-
Correct. The average
For
home-
how,
the
for
average
the
home in the
whole, like a $400,000?
average home in the city of Fort Thomas is about $350,000. The
Okay.
increase in taxes is about 11 cents. It equates to give or take $40.
$40. So how much total is that for the whole city to bring that, for that 4% increase?
$240,000.
Okay, so you do have enough like in the reserve that you didn't have to pull that in this year if you didn't have to?
Sure, we could not do that, but you have to be very cautious of using reserve money for operational expenses.
Okay, okay, going to the next question here. Okay. Okay, this is my question. If you stated if you took, we did not take the 4% increase. Okay. It's on. If we did not take the 4% increase, you said the school would raise theirs. Why is that? Have you ever worked with the school and say, hey, you know, it's a hard academic time, like, why don't we just don't do the 4% altogether? Why does it have to be a give and take like that?
I mean, realistically, we could talk about different funding mechanisms for different entities. The school district has a pretty difficult funding mechanism as a small independent school district in the state of Kentucky. The way that funding works for schools in the state of Kentucky effectively means that larger school districts get larger amounts of money from the state and things of that nature. The school district in the city of Fort Thomas, our little independent school district, actually needs to increase those funds to cover additional costs in everything they do. Every time assessments go up in the city of Fort Thomas, they lose money per child. So you can ask the finance director of the school board, but their funding mechanism is, they operate on a pretty tight margin. So, for increased costs on various things, they're most likely gonna take it regardless.
I know that, I've been through that system. So if they have all this money, let's say $13 million for this, new Tower Park athletic complex, that doesn't come from the taxpayers' money, that's coming from, where is that coming from?
It will, I don't know how much farther we should be talking about the schools.
I'm sorry, I'm just saying, wow.
But yes, it comes from the taxpayer in the town.
The majority of that cost will come from the taxpayer?
I don't know if they were getting state funding, they've discussed getting, state funding separate than taxpayer, so you'd have to ask them at this point.
Okay.
How they're coming about with all the money.
Okay, but see, I don't have a child in the school system, so I have no idea, but I do pay the taxes, so thank you for your time.
All right.
You guys are all greatly appreciated, thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Joe, I have a quick question for you real quick, and you don't have to answer it. It's about the school and their reserves. They don't have much of reserve, do they? So when they raise it, they truly need it, correct?
To my knowledge, I don't think they do. I'm speaking a bit out of turn. From what I they don't.
We also, I was looking at this a couple of years ago, and you said, don't we fall in a weird bubble the way our system works in the state, that we do not get as much money as some of the other counties or cities do because of our economic status, like us and maybe like Oldham County or some of those, a few cities or counties that do not get the return from state funds for our school system, so it's even more vital to stay on top to raise it. So I thought that was the case. I wasn't sure. I wanted to make that clear. When they take theirs, it's a lot different than ours a little bit. They really, and we're growing population-wise. So.
Okay, thank you. We're down to reports of officers. Fire department report.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So to add to my report, 2 weeks ago I got notice from the Kentucky Fire Commission that we were selected to receive a new thermal imaging camera on the grant. So I picked this up last week. So this is a $10,000 piece of equipment that we're going to get installed. I just turned it on for the first time tonight. Actually, Mr. Ellison was able to look around and see how it works.
Which one of you guys reads the hottest temperature?
So we're real proud to have that and just replace some older technology.
Is that, you read through walls as well, so when you go into a building, you try
that's
to
correct.
find.
Yeah, you'll be able to see like behind certain paneling and stuff if there's hidden fire behind there. Most importantly is we can go into a smoke-filled room and we can find a body or somebody laying down and rescue them.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Congratulations. That's awesome.
That's all I've got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions for the chief? If not, I'll entertain a motion to receive and file.
Receive and file.
Okay, great, thank you. Is there a second? Second. Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you all much. Police department report, chief.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to hit a couple highlights from our monthly report. The first is, you can see from the picture on the cover, we entered 2 teams into a Northern Kentucky firearms competition. We've done that every year for about 5 or 6 years now. 2 different teams in 2 different divisions, and both teams took first place in their respective divisions. We're pretty happy with the dedication our guys had to firearms, both going to the range on duty 3 times a year, but most of these guys are shooting on their own as well with their own ammo and their own time, so it's nice to see them putting that time in. Second thing, we administered our yearly physical fitness test earlier this year. Out of 22 eligible officers, 20 passed, and several of those people passed with a higher level of fitness, which was completely voluntary. We had 5 or 6 people at elite and another 5 or 6 at advanced. And again, that's just something they decided to do on their own without any extra incentive for us. They just felt like being competitive. So shooting well and in good shape are 2 good things that we want out of all of our police officers. And I was happy to see all of that this summer. And that's all I had.
That's great. Thanks, chief. Any questions?
I did have a couple. Did the police academy start already? Did you have
Yes, sir. The Citizen Police Academy started last Thursday night. I think we have 17 folks in.
How did how the first class go? I remember when I did it. It was
It was great. We had a great turnout. A lot of input. The guys that were working that weren't even supposed to teach came and stopped by and introduced themselves. Mr. Kramer was there, our keynote speaker. Everyone was singing. It was great. So yeah, it was good. It's off and running.
Yeah,
going well.
That's awesome. And you know, as I was reading through your report, I always find yours and Chris's report so intriguing.
Thank you.
Find the reality stuff on that. Yours depends on the week. I get nervous when I see your text. I noticed in yours, and I thought everybody should be aware, because sometimes you don't see everything in here, that YouTube and some of these channels are becoming hotbeds for thieves to teach other thieves how to break into cars and steal things. And
Sure.
Is that what your report
Yeah,
said?
it's a very, very unfortunate side of technology is certain things become popular and viral that shouldn't be. For a couple of years now, the entire nation has seen certain types of vehicles that are more susceptible to being stolen, and the people that figure out how to do it make YouTube videos, Snapchat videos, you name it, they share it, and then it becomes a much bigger problem than it should be. So there's two specific models for the last 10 years that are a little bit more successful. They're Kias and Hyundais, and those have increased nationwide and region-wide. In addition to that, we see an increase in thefts from vehicles, so tablets, purses, cell phones. Please take that stuff inside, lock your car, take your keys in. And then the third thing we've been seeing is catalytic converters are back on. That went away for about a decade, and they're back because of the price of the materials that are inside those devices. So again, if you see one underneath your car with a DeWalt Sawzall in the middle of the night, just call 911 and we will come out and figure out what's going on immediately. It's much better for us to do that than for you guys.
Yeah, the reason I bring that up, I think I told you, is just a couple months ago, my brother's kids catalytic converter was stolen. As a matter of fact, my brother was out of town.
Yeah.
He called me scared to death to tell dad, you know, and then it's my brother David. And the other reason is that we always reiterate, you know, lock your doors. There's a few people here, but keeping the tablets, your purses, anything off your items draws less attention than it in your car. So
Definitely.
Just keep reiterating that.
Yes, sir.
We are a very comfortable city. It's an easy target sometimes. I'm guilty of it as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the report though.
Did I get a motion for that?
No.
Okay, motion to receive and file?
Yep.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, city administrator's report. Mr. Palmer.
Thank you, sir. We did advertise this month for trash collection. Our Rumpke contract expired last month, and they were not able to honor the extension cost, so we had to rebid that out. We should be getting that bid by the end of this month to be able to present at the October council meeting. Highland Park, some of you noticed already, we are adding topsoil to the left side of the lower area for the soccer field. We're able to get it planted this fall, and that way it'll be ready for the spring. Just a reminder, we do have a Fort Thomas Independent School Board joint meeting with us on October 24th at 6 p.m. It'll be here at our council chambers, just for everybody's awareness on that. I was directed by council to meet with the Friends of Highland Park regarding the Highland Hill the baseball field. I've met with Joe Grammy, have analyzed all their data. I think we came to an agreement, not written yet or anything like that. We're still working with the school in order to set some rules. But as it looks right now, there'll be no reason for the city to be providing any money this year or even next year. Any money that will be given by the city will be put into next year's budget. And I also have it to where we'll actually recoup that money. Any money that is spent on that will actually be recouped the following year. So I've worked with Friends of Highland Park and the school about that. The only thing right now we're finalizing is the rules that we're going to have moving forward for the baseball field. One being no tournaments, things like that, just to make sure that we can limit the uses, especially from outside people, and maximize the use for the citizens. So I should have that finalized by next month. I just wanted to let everybody know. I've already emailed council about it, but I think we'll be able to have that resolved here in the next month or so. Looks like, Casey, the fire department's up on you with grants in the last couple of months, so if you guys can try to take a look at that. Anyone's questions, that's all I have.
That's great. Thanks,
Matt, I just want to thank you guys for the entire city staff for the work on that Highland Park situation. I mean, that goes along with what we've been talking about as a council as far as trying to find options to have amenities up there, being pickleball mainly, but a big part of that for us was to alleviate some of the traffic on Mayfield. We heard that from the residents, and I think that your work there is going a long way, so I just thank you.
Great, thanks.
Okay. I did want, real quick too, I did want to talk about, I know I brought this up a couple months ago, about doing committees as a whole instead of individualized. And I know that, you know, Andy and I met with you about it, and there was some discussion, and I just wanted to know how we want to proceed with that or go forward and meet as a whole to see if it's something that people are interested in, because I know I love the transparency and love to clean up our meetings and less discussion here.
You have to remind me, there's like one on the last 12 days. Did we talk about doing a committee meeting?
We talked about doing,
Before
I don't know how you
October, I
want to
think.
handle it, because it would be, yeah, do we want to have a small committee to choose for everybody, or do we want to have everybody get together on an individual basis, or discuss it during a council meeting? Either way, it's the same thing, so.
Yeah, I was thinking.
I don't want to hit anybody with it, so I just want
Yeah,
to be
I think we were talking about meeting, try to have a small committee meeting the week before council in October, and that way we can try to bring something to council to propose for that following day if everybody's good.
I mean, I think everybody, I think it's just, it involves everybody, a small committee meeting would still be as many that can make it, you know what I mean? That's.
Right, but yeah, but we can still have law, labor, and license, kind of try to get some framework and some answers solved, just some questions out there, things like that. So that's on my plate for next week. I'll try to send out an email to everybody to try to solicit some ideas, and then I'll get some dates together. And we'll try to do that the week before the October meeting on a Wednesday, hopefully.
And also, I did want to thank you. Matt has been more than forthcoming on things going forward. We got a great email from Matt today. Some people might not have seen it, just came out a couple hours ago. And it lists a lot of the projects that have been in the works for the last few years, and trying to prioritize them, put numbers next to them, see what people want, what they don't want, in our personal views. A couple things is that I think that personally believe it probably deserves a bigger discussion than prioritizing something, because I think there's a lot of projects in there that people aren't up to date on. Grand Avenue, for instance, is a road diet, and then it's a state route, a road diet, and then a possible roundabout, but I think we require property from some of the corners there, right? So
if that was good.
If that would go forward, right? And also I think that, so there's a lot of projects, I mean, I didn't even know about the armory being redone and stuff like that, what they cost, can we combine projects? So just prioritizing what we want based on looking at that is probably not fair to some of the newer people, because they don't know the scope of the projects or what we can combine. So I think it would be nice to have more detail, maybe have a meeting on those projects themselves.
That's fine, yeah.
But I love what you did. I'm just trying to get this out in the open. I didn't want to discuss it with you.
I was just trying to get some high level guidance from council,
and
and in that email, like I said, I prefer to meet everybody one-on-one.
Yeah.
So that the ones that don't know all the details, but I'm perfectly happy with having a meeting just about the
Yeah,
project.
no, it's one-on-one. It's a lot of time. That's a lot of projects to go over, you know, so.
Yeah, but it's one-on-ones a lot easier,
You can do
catch
some
up,
of those,
and
yeah.
I can kind of get a really good sense of priorities from council, but yeah.
But I appreciate that email, I really do, man. It's helped us prioritize things for the future and know where we need to be financially, right, prepared for as well, too. So thank you.
All right, old business, we have nothing under old business. For the new business, Tower Park bid results.
Thank you, Mayor. We did receive.
Perfect timing.
I'm just gonna keep talking now.
Yeah.
If you can turn your microphones, we had the mics fixed, as you can tell that I don't have to be right on. It's really nice. But if there's 8 or more on, then everything goes crazy. So, and just for warning, council, I should have told you this before. You can hear really well, like from this distance. So if you're whispering into everybody, I probably should have told you that. I apologize, or maybe I did that on purpose. I don't know. Right. All right. So we did get our bids in last Thursday. Through the project, I did send that out on Friday to council. We received one bid, and that's from Pruss Construction Company, and the bid was for $1,623,159.25. That was the bid without the splash pad. The bid with the splash pad was $1,930,000. Make sure that was right. Hang on one second. Yeah, the project contract with the splash pad was $1,938,000. Sorry, $1,938,159.25. So that was an addition of $315,000 for the splash pad, which was was listed as the alternate bid. Now, along with that, we also have, in order to save money, after we discussed this before, we went ahead and broke the project into 2 parts. One was equipment, and then one was the actual installation and site work. After talking to Human Nature, we found that if the city purchased the equipment by itself, we were able to use our state contracted bid, and we saved probably about $300,000-$400,000 in doing that. Not only do we get a discount from Mid-States Recreation, but if we bid it out all together, the construction company would have had a markup on it. So that bid for all the equipment listed was $1,995,444.62. So just so council is aware and the citizens, there's two bids that are being added together in order to get the full bid. Without the splash park, the full amount of the project would be a total of $3,608,603.87. To include the splash pad was $3,923,603.87. So staff's recommendation, after taking a look at everything here, was for council to accept the bid without the splash pad at $3,608,603.87. So that is the bid that we received. Speaking of the single bid, we did contact 5 or 6 companies. We thought we were going to have 2 bids. The other construction company that we thought we were going to receive a bid, they had so many other bids going out that they didn't have time and didn't want to work on our project. 2 of the construction companies said that the project was too small for them, and then the 5th one, we didn't have any response from them. We even tried after the bids were submitted to reach out to them, and they didn't respond. So from council tonight, we have a couple options. We can accept the bid as staff has recommended. We can push it to a committee meeting, or we can reject the bid. I know I've talked to a handful of council today, just discussing on this to see what we want to do moving forward.
I get the party started on this. I'm very happy to see the bid come in the way it is. You know what I mean? I just want everybody to know that I am very much for the Tower Park project as a whole, wherever we land on something. I think it's important that we give back to the Midway District, and a project like this will only draw people in, get more use out of the year with the AstroTurf and things that are going on there, and attract more people, and they will eat and drink and enjoy what our city has to offer them. As far as the splash pad goes, I know there's always been a little controversy here and there on that. But I can tell 2 things when I look over the list that Matt said earlier, and 2 things when I look at this stuff. In the last year, the 2 things that the city's been most passionate about, splash pads and pickleball courts. And it's our job to represent them and try to give them what they want with their money. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily what we believe or what they want. This splash pad in this at $315,000. I noticed that when I was looking at the old renderings, I'm assuming it's going off the rendering, not the old renderings, but one you said, is 2 spots, right? It's got a higher level and a lower level.
There'll be 4 actual
It was like there's something more, like you could even make it even smaller, reduce it. If people in town really want it, the infrastructure is there, the water, the drainage, the plumbing, the bathrooms, the playground. We even have 9 to 5. We have the staff on hand to monitor it if something does happen, emergency wants a playground. You know, I mean, if we're going to do it, this is by far the best location if people want something. We can dumb it down a little bit, still give a picnic area like you recommended, and maybe even cut it down even smaller to give it something. Make sure that whatever is on there is. I didn't see what was bid because you just had an overall bid of $315,000. It didn't break it down to individual stuff, which I would like to see. But I definitely believe that something that we stuck our neck out and said we would continue to look at this and review it, revisit it, and move it there on purpose. I'd hate to see it not be taken out, especially considering that we gave $120,000 for a statue that kids can't climb on. You know what I mean? So where is our money though? Better spent, you know what I mean, to draw people in, better spent on a statue of General Thomas for $120,000 our kids. And if we start prioritizing, I think kids first, in my mind, for this particular project. And I love the AstroTurf, I love everything about it, you know, and I think it's a great project. I would like to revisit it a little bit more personally and break it down so I can understand it, but I think overall, I'm pretty happy with what things get.
What parts did you want to break down?
Well,
Was it-
the
the last update was how the force slash features, because they changed a little bit. We didn't do the guns, like, sure, we got feedback. So the last revision that we sent out, that was what was bid out.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I just wanted like to see what they were broken down to, what they cost, and if there's 2 areas, we can eliminate one of those areas of cost there, but
it
also.
wasn't broken down for the bid. It was a combined.
Well, everything else was broken down.
What's that?
Everything else was broken down, all the equipment for the rest of the tower.
Because you wouldn't save very much if you broke that in half, because it's 4 features, but you're still running all the water, all the sewer.
Okay.
So you're really only saving maybe 10,000 maybe. I'd have to look at the actual.
And not just on the splash pad though, but when you look at that, you have three or 4 sidewalks now coming around both sides, coming down the top section of it. And I noticed one of the sidewalk bids was $75,000.
That was an original, the sidewalks haven't changed, that was an original design.
No, I know, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if we revisit it, if we can cut costs anywhere to get people more user-friendly stuff, or maybe straighten them out instead of steps and zigzag to go up and stuff.
Well, so the sidewalk that comes up at the top, that's ADA.
Both of them,
compliance.
there's 2 ADA, there's 2 ADA compliant sidewalks.
But you're talking about the front one and the back one.
No, there's 2 in the back, there's actually 3 in the back.
There's only one. It comes from the plaza and it wraps in a
So when I saw,
down.
let me look at this real quick here, I'll pull it up, just give me 1 second.
Well, since we're discussing the playground, anyone else have any comments or questions or concerns about that?
So when I look at this, there's a sidewalk that comes down, both sidewalks start at the same place where General Thomas statue is, the one that we have already currently, right? The one that goes down the street. So that sidewalk is already there, yeah.
The one that's already existing.
Yeah, and then there's one that comes around the backside,
Correct.
and then there's 2.
That's the A1 that comes to it attaches to that upper play area.
Yeah.
And then connects to the lower play area.
And then there's 2 sidewalks on each side of that upper play area. One is not ADA compliant because it's steps, but the other one is. So am I wrong? If you look at this, we've got this sidewalk, and this sidewalk, right? This one is ADA.
It's not a sidewalk, it's just an access to the upper level for citizens with disabilities.
So that's not concrete?
Yes, it'll be paved.
Yeah.
That allows strollers to get up on top of the feature, and then people with wheelchairs are.
No, I get it. There's 3 of them.
Mhm.
3 access points for the same area. I'm just saying if we're gonna review something, like, you know what I mean, I think these are things that we can be breaking down and see, would a straighter path be better? I mean, is it overall?
You can't, the reason it's like that is because of elevation change.
Okay.
So it has to be that way in order to be ADA compliant.
The elevation change on this side is the exact same.
No, that upper part is the hillside.
So they can't come around
And
here?
and you can see where the rails are, those are the areas that are needed because of the elevation. And then eventually we pick it up halfway down where we don't need the rails anymore because we're picking up the proper elevation on that.
Right, well, these are just some of the current students I have. I wanna make sure that we're spending money in the right place. Like I said, I'm for this project, you know what I mean? So.
Matt, in the budget, is this also in the budget include the redo of that intersection?
Yes, it's the whole plaza, the
Plaza,
stand for the
Yeah,
statue.
so there's a lot of work up there that isn't technically part of the park.
Correct, yeah. And then, so that'll make a really nice entrance to all of the park, all of Tower Park, between the tower itself and then that plaza. So it'll have a much nicer entrance than it does now. But yeah, that definitely, that cost is included in the whole project, so it's not all playground. You're correct.
Other comments or concerns about it? Feedback?
I'd like to say something. We've been working on this for years. And going from, we did look at a custom build, what we landed on. We also looked at the buy equipment out of a magazine and placed it in there with the cost difference. And for the cost difference, we thought it'd be a better spend to do a custom build for our area, because Fort Thomas is a unique place and we needed a unique area up there to park. And it really, we went back and forth so many different times with Chris and the design crew, and got to this spot. So I appreciate what you're saying about trying to look at different areas and where can we cut back on.
This is the first time I've seen real numbers, so.
Yeah, well,
It's a bit, yeah.
And I was anticipating the 4.5, which I'm pretty happy to keep it at 3.6. So if we are looking at cutting costs, the splash pad is 10% of the total overall spend. So that's one ticket item that you can take out of there. The turf is a big piece of it, but the turf is what's needed to make the park, the area, what it is, and especially for the longevity of being able to use it throughout the year. So I am just very happy and proud of people that worked on this to finally get to where we are. I'm excited to get started on it. So
I do think it is a little funny that we're talking about taking a splash pad out here for $300,000, but we're still gonna put it in Highland Park for $1 million. So saving.
It was never $1 million.
$700,000.
I think it was about 500,000, but from I remember the last conversation we had with the Moms Club folks is they were concerned about having a splash pad with the playground. They were having problems in Wilder and other places with that because then the equipment gets wet. So taking it out, you can always put it in later.
You can't put it in later when the infrastructure is not there. And the second thing is like there's playground equipment at every one of the parks. And the only one in the Moms Club, after I emailed them all back, there was only 2 that were concerned. One of them was your niece, who was in charge of the Mothers Club.
Okay.
You know, so I'm just saying.
Anyone else have any other comments?
I do. You can't just cut me off there. That's not how this works.
We can definitely add it. I mean, it's
I'm just saying,
$350,000,
like, you know, we're talking about, at all the other places, there's also equipment too. So it's not a viable excuse.
I have a question on the sorry, can you guys still hear me?
You're good.
Camera, you guys, sit back here. On page 2 of 3 on the Prust construction bid, when you get down to item 35, 36, 37, it's column 1, column 2, column 3. What are those?
What number is it again?
35, 36, and 37. If you add that and the flagpole foundation at the entrance, you're at $350,000. So it's not, to answer your question, it's not necessarily about a swing. There's a whole lot of stuff happening up here.
Yeah.
But what are those column 1, 2, and 3 about? Because that's a huge chunk of this.
That looks like the plaza is if that's what you're. But it could be mixed in. I mean, because obviously there's plaques. It talks about the entrance feature. So this is probably possibly a bunch of other stuff too. It could be the entrance to the park because we've got signage at the entrance to the park.
So that's really part of the park, not necessarily the playground.
Correct. I mean, it's just how you want to look at it. The entire park. The entire place set is going to have a fence around it. So, we've got the decorative fence with the stonework and there's going to be an arch at the main entrance to the playground. So there's a lot of parts that went into this that were bid out along with it. So
I'm just pointing it out because the $3.5 million isn't just for the playground. There's a whole lot.
I mean, the actual play set is 1.9.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the actual playground itself with the turf. That was all from Mid-States. And again, council had directed me months ago to go meet with both moms clubs, and in what came out of that is the features that allowed, children didn't have the same ability as others to be able to do everything here. So whether a child's in a wheelchair, has a walker, they're able to get there. We made it to the point where even grandparents, because that was one thing that they brought up, that the grandparents can access the upper level play area, which is why we did the ADA compliant crisscross up there. So I mean, everything here is completely accessible, and that was the point where council had directed me to go back and revisit that and talk to the moms clubs again, and we pulled all their ideas and met with Chris Manning and made those changes, which is where we got to the bid the way it is now. I mean, we could remove more ADA compliant sidewalks and just have one access like we have now. I mean, that is a possibility, but I think the staff worked really hard to make this as accessible to everybody and everybody's ability, and it'll be here for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think just my 2 cents on the whole thing, after hearing all of you talk and listening to the community and everything, you know, regardless of which way you cut this thing, we're spending a lot of money. And it's gonna cost a lot of money, whether it's with a splash pad or not. And there's, you know, to Jeff's point, I think everyone out too, there's been so much work put into this so far, and it's obviously a need and a want of the city. I think it's important. It's a tough pill to swallow because it's expensive, but granted, it could be more expensive. And I just think that we're getting to the point in this conversation where we need to make a decision. And I don't think it's a very difficult decision. If you know, if we want to add and include the splash pad or the water feature there, I'm okay with that. I just don't, what I don't want to have happen is, I don't want council to sit here and fight about whether or not to have a water feature for the next 3 or 4 months and then not make a decision. So I'm okay either way because I trust in the work that's been done. And I also want to say, you know, it's a little bit unfair to, when we're talking about spending this much money, we all want to try and save where we can, but I don't think it's a little hypocritical to say, well, maybe we can save on a sidewalk. You know, I mean, I trust. I guess my point, Adam, and I am talking to you, and that's okay.
We have 3 sidewalks and a $120,000 statue that we can crawl, and it's not hypocritical.
Well,
it's just dissecting the project.
You're right, and I really appreciate the thought you put into it.
And I'm fine with it. Like I said, I'm good with this.
Yeah, and I am too, and I appreciate the thought you put into it. I guess, you know, the way that, from my seat, I really think that I'm not the expert. I don't know how to build ADA compliant sidewalks and what the topography looks like and the best way to do it. And so when they give us a design, I trust it. And I think you do too. But I'm just, you know, from bird's eye view, I'm excited about the project. It's a lot of money and it's a hard pill to swallow. But in my mind, if we're going to spend this kind of taxpayer money, we've been talking about this park needs an upgrade. We've been talking about it since before I was on council. There was no better way to spend the money. And so, you know, I support it and I appreciate the conversation too. But I do think it's getting time to make a decision. I don't think we need to sit and push it off for another 7 months.
I'm fine with the discussion tonight. That's fine. It doesn't bother me one way or
I have
the
a
other.
quick question I just thought of. So when we came up, the numbers that we have for the budget and considering what we have in reserves, does that include us spending what we thought, the $4.5 million or the $3.5 million?
What was in the budget was 2.5 million.
So then,
we'll need an additional 1.7 million to be approved tonight if we do this without the splash pad.
And that would come out of reserves?
Okay, reserves. I mean, this whole project will be ARPA funds. You know, this will be a part of the ARPA funds we receive, which is another reason our reserve looks.
Would you repeat? It was funded in the budget for 4.5. I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, we went ahead and just left because we knew there were variables there. We had originally put in 2.5 and we just left it in there because we knew there was going to be a budget amendment once we got the bids back. There were so many things fluctuating there when we started working on the budget. So that's what was actually in the budget is 2.5 million, and we knew there'd be a budget amendment necessary or approval of spending more from council once we did complete the project.
Sounds like a lot of people are on board on this. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to accept our park with the splash pad. I mean, as we know, everybody wants pickleball, everyone wants splash pad. It's the #1 topic they talk about for the last 2 years. So I'd like to make a motion to accept this bid with the splash pad and give people what they want.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll support that. I'll second it.
Okay, further discussion?
I don't see the need for a splash pad there. I just don't.
I don't care either way. I mean, I just feel like I've heard both sides. Like, some people want to say people don't. People are worried about cost and cost saver, but.
You could swap.
I'd make a deal. How about
4% compensating.
since the splash pad's 315 and the increase in property tax this year will give us 230. How about we no splash pad, no increase in taxes?
I told you, Andy, you'll get the applause every time. It's the easy thing to say.
I just don't see the need for a splash pad up there.
It's what people wanted.
We
don't personally see the need. Not everybody, but a lot. According to the comprehensive plan, it was #1.
I mean, literally, to be totally transparent, I've heard 50-50 on the splash pad concept, and I do think that at some point we just have to decide, and I'm willing to make a decision tonight if you guys are too, whether it's with or without.
Well, we made a motion and second.
Well, I know.
We made a motion in a second. If it fails, we'll go to the other one. If we change our mind, we can always go back. But just to let council know of the procedure, we do have a first and second, so we do need to vote. We can always.
Yeah, so the vote is to include the splash pad right now. So if you don't want the splash pad, you vote no. And if you do want the splash pad, you vote yes. So we see where the vote goes, and then we can enter in another motion. So if there's no other further discussion,
So, Mayor, real quick.
Yes.
I'm gonna clarify your motion if you don't mind.
Okay.
Your motion is to accept the bid with the alternative bid, which is the splash pad, and authorize staff to spend an additional $2,015,000 is what the difference would be.
Over the budget.
Over the
I just want
2.5.
everybody to be clear, regardless, it's $2 million over the budget. So what the would be. So regardless of the splash pad is in there or not, it's $2 million over the budget.
It's 1.7.
Yeah, that way you, different, yes.
Jeff, do you feel like you put a lot of work into this, like with the splash pad, like over the last 6 years, you feel like a lot of the city has directed us towards that? Kevin?
The interest in the splash pad was not attached to Tower Park. The interest of the splash pad, when it was being talked about, was at a different location. Where it landed was Highland Park. And then obviously that, we're not so, but the design of Tower Park in that area was at one point gonna be turf, one point gonna leave the tree, one point gonna take the tree down. So it was gonna be a picnic area, because that's what it's used for now, and there's a lot of people that go up there and use that area for picnicking. And so the alternative bid is to pave and to put a picnic, is that right, Matt?
Yes. Well, no, the alternate bid is for the splash park. The 1.6 bid was with a picnic area instead of the splash park.
Picnic area next to our other picnic area.
It would be where the design is.
We put a picnic area next.
Well, but the difference is that the current shelter is rentable, so the other picnic area would be available for parents to be sitting down while the kids are playing and still be able to monitor the kids. So that's why they switch.
So my thought on the splash pad is I'm with Ben. I could carry either way. If it's not going to go there, I don't want it anywhere. Like I don't want it in Highland Park. I don't want it. We've been down that road. It just does not work. So if it doesn't go there, I don't want it anywhere. But for the cost for that one amenity, for what we are getting, that's why I'm going to say no, because of the cost associated with it.
It's the one location we can't have it though with all the amenities there. And people have it.
So we're having a conversation, so we know how Jeff feels, and Andy and Eric. I mean, I don't know. I don't mean to call you out. I'm just asking because I don't know how you feel about it.
I am for the bid for the park as is, but not for the splash.
Okay. Well then, I mean, before we have some vote, which we can do, obviously, that's protocol, but I mean.
You can vote on it when it's not on the agenda?
Yes. It's on the agenda. It's a Tower bid.
But under new business, it doesn't say you're voting on it.
It's a bid results. During bid results, that's what it is the council accepts the bids or rejects the bids.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, I didn't know.
Yeah, that's okay.
So you were saying?
Well, it sounds like we're not gonna, the splash pad's not.
We have to vote.
The option is to vote, or you.
We're still in discussion.
We're still in discussion. The option is to vote or to amend a motion. So we'll go ahead and vote then. So, since we are spending money, we have to have a roll call vote.
Mr. McIntosh?
This is, yeah, the current vote, I know we've all been talking, so let me clarify again. The current motion is to accept the bid from Crust Construction with the alternative bid, which includes the splash pad.
So just say no if you don't want the splash pad.
So this is a yes for splash pad.
Mr. Bender? Mr. Ellison?
No.
Mr. Beazle?
No.
Yes. It's actually a great position.
Okay.
So then,
So that dies for lack of votes. Are there any other
So,
motions?
I move to accept the bid, the original offering, without the splash pad.
I'll second it.
With a council voting to approve the 1.7 million additional
Correct.
in the budget. Okay.
That includes the picnic area where.
That includes a picnic area, it does not have a splash pad and everything else.
All right, any
So
further
we have a
discussion?
motion second?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. McIntosh? Yes.
Mr. Bender?
aye.
Mr. Ellison?
Aye.
Mr. Beazle?
Aye.
Mr. Blau?
Explain mine, because I'm torn now. This is-
Did you say answer yet?
No,
Okay.
I'm torn.
Okay.
Because I want the park done, but I knew everybody wanted the splash pad, and there were a lot of people that emailed that wanted it, and do I vote yes? And, I mean, the park's gonna pass right now, regardless, you know, you've got 4 votes. So regardless, there's 2 irrelevants here, per se. I just am disappointed that, you know, when the entire city talked about splash pads and they talked about in the comprehensive plan forever, then we have an opportunity to give them what they want, and they're not getting it because it's not going at Highland Park when all the amenities say yes up there. So it is disappointing, but I will say yes for this because I think the park needs to be done. So.
And Mr. Strange?
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We finally got that resolved. That's good. Good job, folks. All right, we are down to Finance Committee report on disbursements.
Report of disbursements, August 19th through September 15th, 2023. General Fund, $164,967.65. Public Works KDOT Fund, $186,010.93. CBD Revitalization, $76,694.80. Waste fees, $102,362.34. Police and Fire Pension Fund, $857.22. Total, $530,892.94. With the undersignment, the Finance Committee recommend that warrants number 24190 through 24347 be approved and the treasurer be authorized to issue checks for their payment. Mr. Pendry, chairperson, Mr. Beazle, member, Mr. Strange, member.
I tried turning mine off too. It didn't seem to help.
Not working.
Okay, entertain a motion, please.
Move to approve. And file. Receive and
Okay,
file.
concur and recommendation is the official. I accept that bid. I accept that vote.
Move to concur and recommendation.
There you go. Okay, is there a second? All right, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. McIntosh? Mr. Pendry? Mr. Ellison? Mr. Beazle?
Aye.
Mr. Blau?
Aye.
Mr. Strange?
Okay, we are down to ordinances, resolutions, and orders. And, anybody notice Tim looks a little different tonight? This is Dave Fessler with Tim's, in the group with Tim, and in fact, he's the guy that's trained Tim because he has more experience as a city attorney. He's the city attorney for Bellevue, and I'm sure he's been doing a lot of training for Tim. I hope Tim's not watching this now. So, thanks for being here, Dave.
Thank you. I found it very interesting. We're down in Bellevue. Our splash pad's the Ohio River, so we've got a little different section involved. So it's very interesting. Do you want to go ahead and read the ordinances?
The summary.
Okay, just stop.
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 014-2023, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a non-exclusive franchise agreement with Spectrum Mid-America LLC, known locally as Charter Communications, for 10 years for the construction, placement, maintenance, and operation of cable television, internet, and/or telephone services along, in, on, over, and under the public right-of-way within the city of Fort Thomas, Kentucky, all upon the terms, conditions, and covenants contained in the cable franchise agreement. Mayor, I believe this is a second reading, therefore require a motion and a roll call vote.
Absolutely, yes. I entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. McIntosh? Mr. Bender?
Aye.
Mr. Ellison?
Aye.
Mr. Beazle?
Aye.
Mr. Blau?
Aye.
Mr. Strange?
All right, next ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 015-2023. An ordinance providing for the imposition, levy, collection, and apportionment of the taxes of the city of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky for the year 2023 and fixing the tax rate. Again, this is second reading, needs a motion and a roll call vote, please.
So this is just a second reading, this isn't the actual vote, correct?
This is the
No,
actual vote.
This is the actual vote, okay.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. McIntosh? Mr. Bender?
Aye.
Mr. Ellison?
No.
Mr. Beazle?
Aye.
Mr. Blau?
I do want to explain my vote on this one as well. This is probably the toughest decision we make up here, honestly, because it affects so many people. It doesn't come lightly. I had a great meeting with Matt last week, and I've been talking to Matt on and off about this for months. I think Matt has been extremely transparent. I've really enjoyed talking to Andy Ellison and Eric about this a lot, given their new perspective on it. I think Andy made the greatest point on this, is that moving forward to justify the tax increase, we need to have a list of items that we know we need money for. Hence why you sent that out today to see where we want to prioritize, and you took that very seriously, what Andy said, and Eric has been kind enough, and I think everybody understands that. I think for years we've been raising this, and I think when you have too much money, it can be abused. I believe it has been to a certain extent. I don't think we are as financially responsible as we could be with some of the bids, because, you know, sometimes when you have money, it's easy to spend more. But I do appreciate the transparency that Matt has had. I love what Andy and everybody's brought to the table. I'm going to vote yes on this, but I know that next year that it was going to be a very hard vote for me. I doubt I will, unless there is something catastrophic happens. We need the money, but I appreciate everything you've done and Joe, to bring everything to light so you know exactly where we stand to this point. You know what I mean? So I know it's your first year, Matt, so thank you for that.
Mr. Strange?
Okay, thank you all very much. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
As much as I love you all, move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No opposition? Okay, we're adjourned.
Pretty good, huh?